What's up, Ham Radio? Kilo Echo 8, Papa Zulu November, the Ham Radio Adventure Guy. Got another great live stream today for Hump Day Happy Hour. We're gonna have somebody I've been wanting to talk to for a while because I feel like his passion for soda is like my passion for Parks on the Air. So we're gonna bring him out, Mr. Red Summit himself, Charlie. What's going on, buddy?
Hey, good evening. Not a lot going on right now. Just hanging out at home.
I hear you, man. You got any big plans for the weekend?
This is going to be an off weekend. I usually go out about every other week or so. I got to take care of stuff around the house to keep everybody happy. So this is an around the house weekend. The only thing soda related this weekend is I have a quarterly meetup that we have at Dickie's Barbecue this weekend. We'll have a bunch of soda guys hanging out with us, shooting the breeze, telling some soda stories.
That's cool. It's always great to have a good local community to support what you do. I've been trying to get some of the people here in West Virginia to start doing some local Parks on the Air get-togethers and stuff like that. So, all right. Well, in case somebody's watching that's been under a log for the past bit, you want to give a little introduction and tell everybody what got you into ham radio to start?
Yeah, well, ham radio, I don't know, it's been 2005, I think, is when I first got licensed. And so, I really didn't think I was going to be where I'm at today. A lot of people probably don't really. But I was kind of into not prepping, but just kind of preparing a little bit for the unknown. And I feel, I was doing research and I'm like, you know what? Communication is really important. A lot of people think that too, and so a lot of people, that's how they get in the hobby is they're like, we need to communicate. So let me get my license. That's what I did too. So I got my license, but what really got me hooked was I was asking a friend of mine who was licensed about how to do it, and he says, "Why don't you just come out to field day?" And he was just doing field day in a park about a mile from me, and he said, "Just come on out and check it out." So I went out there and he was working stations, mostly VHF, and so I really enjoyed that, and so I got licensed, and I spent probably 6 years or so, quite a few years, just doing FM. I was happy with the technician license, but then I thought, you know what, maybe I try this other stuff and see how it works. So I got my general, and surprisingly, most of what I did with the general license for the first 2 years or so was PSK and RIDI. I did some sideband, but most of what I did was digital. And then, from there, soda kind of took hold. I was attending a club and was kind of looking around for summits on the air, kind of what I was anxious to get involved in that. And then somebody came on and said, "Hey, I'm going to do a presentation tonight, and it's going to be on soda." And that's one of my best friends, Brian, W7JET, who's a co-host on one of my shows on our All Portable Discussion Zone. He's the one that got me involved, so it's all his fault.
Yeah, but blame it on him. Well, if I was going to blame it on somebody, I guess I'd have to blame my dad because I kind of got technician license, to honor him because he always wanted me to be a ham radio operator like he was. And then after he passed, I did that. And then one night I just I hooked up this old HF and was scrolling through, and I heard a Parks on the Air activation. I was like, I got to get my general. This is it.
Yeah.
So it's real easy for somebody to talk you into it.
For sure.
So, yeah, you were talking about your all portable discussion. I absolutely love that. What got you guys all together to start doing that?
Oh, well, the stream actually was my idea. I started out about 2 years ago with the Red Summit RF YouTube page. And then after doing the videos for about a year, I thought, we ought to do a live stream. Brian, who I just mentioned, W7JET, he was like talking to us about, we ought to do some sort of podcast or something like that. And so he kind of was giving me some ideas, but then I'm like, why don't we just do a live stream and see how that goes? And, talk about the topics we want to talk about. It's evolved since then, but it's been a year now. The last episode was our 1 year anniversary for doing that stream. And so that's pretty much how it got involved. We were just kind of talking about it, figuring out, trying to have a way for us to kind of share the things that we think are important in ham radio.
Right. Joseph, he said that he sees that you often use a FT 817 or 18. He's not sure which one. And he said, what do you like about that rig? And have you thought of upgrading it?
Okay, so well, for the FT817 is what I have, and one of the main reasons I like it is because it's all band, all mode. So I, I kind of got away from all the other modes except for CW, but every once in a while I like to use different, get on 15 or 12 meters and or 60 meters. I actually do 60 meters almost every time. So getting different bands, that's definitely important. And then the modes, especially now with my wife just got her general license, and we go out together sometimes. It's the radio to use, so we can get her on sideband as well. It's still pretty light and compact for an all band all mode radio. So that's what I use. I upgrading. I in a sense I've already kind of done that. I have a Mountain Topper MTR3B that I use for some of the longer excursions, and I have a kit for a QCX Mini. And then I have my base station here that I can kind of take out too. It's a FT897. It's a big honking thing, but that's pretty much the three radios I own right now. And I haven't built the QCX Mini yet. So, but yeah, I've been thinking about maybe getting a different radio, maybe a 705 or something like that, or that 599 looks pretty cool too. So I'm not sure. We'll get there. The KX2 probably maybe is another good one. I mean, it's just like when you ask about radios, I'm like, there's so many I could upgrade with and would enjoy.
Yeah, it's like a kid in a candy store when you start talking about the radios. Yeah, and you mentioned 60 meters, and Joseph is like Mr. 60 meter. He's all the time trying to get somebody, so he's all excited now.
Yeah, yeah. In fact, I just talked to somebody. What was it? Just I was doing a summit just this last weekend, and somebody chased me with 60 meters. Every once in a while, I'll grab maybe 2, 3, 4 people that work me, and I'll send them an email and just kind of thank them and just kind of try to get to know him a little bit. And one of them, I can't even remember his call sign now, but it was a guy in New Mexico. He worked me on 60 meters, and I just sent an email and thanked him for working me. He came back and says, "Yeah, you know what? I am really into 60 meters. I actually do 160 meters a lot, but I like to chase 60 meters too. So I'll put you on my list now." So yeah, it's a cool band. I like it. It's channelized, but whatever, it's
right. Yeah, I mean, and you develop a relationship with these people when they chase you. I'm the same way with people who chase me on Parks on the Air. There's some of them that I can pick their call sign out, even when there's a powerhouse station over top of them. I just know their voice and I can pick them right out.
Yeah,
and you develop that relationship. So it's really cool stuff. So I know you do Parks on the Air as well, but
a little bit, yeah.
For somebody who does Parks on the Air, who's wanting to move into Summits on the Air, what advice would you give them? Other than get in shape.
It's an interesting question because I'm doing the opposite of what you're doing right now, because I know you're really into Parks on the Air. And so I'm trying to make a transition into doing more Parks on the Air from SOTA. And so I'm thinking about this. So what I'm experiencing right now and trying to make that transition from SOTA to POTA and kind of doing both is there are some interesting things about what motivates a person to do it and kind of what the fun stuff is. So because I know for Parks on the Air, you've got all these things that I'm just learning. I actually learned some stuff from your last stream. There's these awards like the what's it called, the what is it, multiple offender award or something like that. What's it called?
Repeat offender
award, right? So there's stuff like that. And in SOTA, it really comes down to you got to make sure you understand how the point system works, and just like you do in Parks on the Air. Because I was hearing you talk to your last guests, and you guys were talking about all these tricks, and things that you do to kind of make it fun for you. Well, the same thing is true for SOTA. You got to kind of figure out the point system and just the program itself, and that kind of as you're getting involved with it and you do it, you kind of learn those things. But so getting in shape, I guess you should probably a little bit, but I'm out of shape and I'm doing okay. There's some easy peaks and some drive ups, and you don't have to kill yourself really to get involved to start off with. I would say I've given this advice multiple times, and you probably do the same thing. I'd say go with somebody who does Summits on the Air, and watch how they set up their equipment. Watch how ask them how they plan the excursion, and try to observe how they set up their equipment and what equipment they use. Ask them some questions about why they use what they use. That type of stuff I think is maybe the main way to first get involved. I've taken many people on a first time activation, and I think that's really a key to get going.
And that's something I love to do as well. I love taking new people out and getting them just into doing it and stuff like that.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing. I'm
I know
laughing at
what you
Jesse.
I know what you're laughing at. Yeah, Jesse says he's fat and he does it. So, well, I'll tell you what. I used to be a really big hiker back before COVID and stuff. I was always in the woods and stuff like that. And I was in really great shape. And when I went out to do my first soda this year, I was like, oh, it's just about a 5 mile hike. It's not going to be that big of a deal. Well, I wasn't thinking, I've got all this gear on my back and stuff like that. And I'll tell you, it whooped my butt.
Yeah, it
so,
can. Yeah.
so that's another question. What does your typical soda pack? What does it weigh?
You know what? That's an interesting question too, because as I'm getting older, I'm trying to lighten up a little bit. But really, I think my typical pack weighs 25 pounds. Believe it or not, it's with that FTR 817 or FT 817, and then I have an antenna that has pretty large gauge wire. I don't know why I don't make a smaller one. I have a smaller one for my MTR 3B, but I just keep it in the back with my MTR 3B. I need to make a smaller one, but right now that antenna is pretty heavy, relatively speaking. So, and then the battery, I do a 4.5 LiPo from BioEno. So all that plus I'm doing the YouTube stuff, so I throw in.
Yeah.
I have a GoPro, but I also that just on my walking stick. But I have batteries for the GoPro. I have a external recorder, and I have a few other a mic and a few other things that I throw in there in addition to what other people might take along with them. So, but I think it's about 25 pounds last time I weighed.
Jesse says he's 25 pounds with a G90. I don't know what my bag actually weighed when I took it up there. I did have a G90, but I took way too much stuff. Somebody actually commented on my video, said, "No wonder you were breathing so hard. How did you get that stuff up the hill?"
Yeah. Well, you know what though? I don't. I mean, there's something to be said for going light, but I don't really pass judgment on people that want to take a heavier gear. I mean, for example, a friend of mine, Keith, KR7RK. A lot of the soda people know him. He likes to go QRO, and so he'll carry some extra equipment and some heavier equipment. And his argument is, you know what? I need the exercise, and I need the extra weight. All it does is help me to get more in shape. And so there is that side of the coin. You can look at it that way.
Yeah, and that's my thing. I would probably be fine with that backpack if I wouldn't have been, it'd been a while since I'd been hiking, and it was a steep trail, that's for sure. It definitely wasn't a drive up. That's what Bo said. Why didn't you do a drive up
for your first one? Yeah,
it's your first one. Oh, so I see Joseph Collins is in the chat. Congratulations to Joseph. He got his West Virginia contact that he's been begging me for forever, and I was like, I activate all the time.
Does he need that for Worked All States or something?
Well, for POTA Worked All States, and yeah, he got to West Virginia from California to me the other night, and he was really excited to get that. So congratulations to him.
Wow, I haven't even got my regular Worked All State yet. I still have like 1 or 2 states to go. I think I need Alabama.
That's what's weird. Some of the states that are the easiest to work are the hardest to get to confirm. I know when I was doing my normal Worked All States, I think I had 9 or 10 South Carolinas, and none of them would confirm.
That's my problem. Exactly. You know exactly what the problem is. Yeah, you work a bunch of people and they don't confirm. Yep.
Yeah. So you're wanting to get more into parks on the air. Is there a big is there a lot of parks near you?
No, there's not. But there's kind of 2 reasons why I'm getting involved. 3 actually. One is I'm getting older, and there's going to be a point at which maybe in my 80s I'm not going to be. That's 20, 30 years from now. But there's I want to get involved now in POTA because there's knowing it and being involved in it will help me when I transition out of soda, if I ever do. It just seems like another thing that I'd like to get involved in. Second thing is for the channel, I think that there's a lot of interest in it, and so I thought I'd expand a little bit. And my channel is about portable operations. And so, why exclude POTAS? I need to do a little bit of that. And the third reason escapes my mind right now, but I'm sure I'll come back to it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of reasons to do POTA, just like there's a lot of reasons to do SOTA. I myself, I don't like the fact that you can only, well, I mean, you can do them more than once a year, but you only get the points once a year. So you got to go out a whole lot to a lot of different places, a lot more. Not that I don't do that. I've almost got every park in West Virginia right now, but I think that makes it rougher for some people that don't have the capabilities of traveling as much.
Yep. Yep. I was going to say the third thing. I remember the third thing now, and it's here in Arizona. Unless I'm not understanding and seeing things correctly, there's not a lot of activity for parks on the air. So I'd like to kind of get it going here in Arizona. The park I'm looking at right now, it's 30 minutes from me, 3 activations. It's a Lost Dutchman State Park. And I think that'd be a fun one. Do a video on I think my plan is to do a video on the Lost Dutchman State, the legend behind the lost gold and all that, kind of explain that, and then go activate that park. Stuff like that you guys do out east with the, all these different parks. They really have interesting stories.
Right. Now, I actually need Arizona, so I'd love for you to get that. And I think somebody said that they needed Wyoming, that you needed to move back.
Yes. I'm going to be moving back to Wyoming soon, but I go there once a year in the summer. So I had a post when I go there because I activate at least one summit there in Wyoming every year.
And Joe Brett said you should have been able to go to Alabama when everybody was down in Huntsville.
Yeah, well, I bet if somebody will confirm it, that's the problem. But yeah, I don't think I worked a bunch of people in Alabama. I didn't try this year. The thing about Worked All States is I really haven't ever put forth a concerted effort. It's just kind of whatever I work. And it's funny, there's that rule where you have to be like 50 miles. The activation has to, or the contact has to be within 50 miles of your QTH or where your main home is. And so all these SOTA things that I do, I've worked Alabama and been confirmed probably 100 times, but it's all outside of that circle of where it counts for Worked All States.
Right. Okay, so I thought I seen another question in there. Oh no, it was Brian saying he needed Arizona.
Okay.
All right. So when you go out to do your activations, how big of an advantage is it for you to do the CW?
Well, I mean, it's probably pretty obvious. It's quite an advantage. You had a guest on. I don't know, what was it, a week ago or 2 weeks ago? The guy that was in the military, did that for a living, right?
Bill. Yeah.
Yeah, Bill. He talked a little bit about it, but really, I think you get quite an advantage. I think it's at least one. Well, I'm not quite sure exactly how much better it is. I've heard there's different measurements or whatever, but it definitely is much better. I have a friend, Dan, KC7MSU, who does sideband only. And, he will be on the same summit with me sometimes, and we'll get he'll get his 5, 6 maybe contacts. Well, I'll be working a pile up of 15 or more at a time. So, that tells you something, right? That same location, different mode, and you can just hear much better. And the stuff is down on the noise. So, I'm trying to hear somebody say something. Those dits and dahs are much easier to interpret than the English language a lot of times.
Right. I'm a little bit worried about where I'm deaf in the right ear, hearing them, but that's definitely something I want to learn. Yeah, which you heard me talking to Bill about that.
Yeah.
But
and Bill, you asked Bill, what to do for people that have a hearing impairment, and it wasn't mentioned, but my thought was I think it would be quite easy, a little project to just put a light. They have these things where you can decode CW, but you can also so you can actually see the text running. So that would be one way to do it. But also, if you don't want to do that, there's got to be a way to set up a light to show you the dits and dahs with a light.
Little blinking light. Yeah, I never thought about that, but yeah, that would probably be something interesting to do.
Yeah, be a fun project probably.
So you get to do a lot of 2 meter activations and stuff as well. I don't
Yes.
have that luxury. The 2 meter is like totally dead
Mm,
around here,
that's no good.
unfortunately. I mean, we got the height and stuff, but you really get out there. Um, tell me a little bit about how much easier that is, like on days where you don't want to pack all the gear and stuff like that.
Oh man, you're right. It's so much easier. We have a thing in Arizona that we call Mini Morning Madness, and we just choose a weekday. And there's these little 2-point hills all around the Phoenix metro area. I can drive to most of them within about 30 to 45 minutes, and a hike to the top is between 20 and 30 minutes. So round trip, if you're on the air for just 5 or 10 minutes, the round trip, you're looking at maybe 2 to 3 hours. So I'll get up a lot of times on a weekday, go and do that, and then come back before work even starts, and hit work after that. But the thing is that it's all, for the most part, it's that early in the morning. It's all soda guys, but they're all getting out there, or at least chasing. But yeah, handheld, right? All I got to do is hop in the truck with my handheld. I don't even need to take a pack really. Maybe just pack for just take a water in one hand and a radio in the other. Hike to the top of the summit, get your 4 QSOs, and you're done. So that makes it really easy, and it can be done quickly. And it's a lot of fun. Sometimes we'll take HF on those events as well, but most of the time it's just work as many VHF contacts on 2 meters as you can. A lot of fun. It sounds like you've seen some of the videos where we've done that.
Yeah, and I noticed like you guys certain guys will be on certain frequencies, and you right where to go to as well. You're like, okay, well, I'm gonna work this guy. He's supposed to be over at this summit here, and then sometimes there'll be somebody else working him, and you'll work that guy too, which is something you never see in a POTA activation.
Yes. Yeah. That's
Uh,
POTA's kind of you're well. Yeah. Most of the time you don't see that in soda really either.
oh,
It's,
okay.
this
I,
this
I
event
I
this
didn't know
event
if
that we
that
do
was
is
a
it's just kind of a unique thing for Arizona.
okay. You got how many local guys do you have right there that just constantly on soda? Say within a 40-mile range of you.
So probably I'd say probably within a 40-mile range of me, probably about 10, I would say. I'm just guessing. I mean, when we do this mini morning madness, we'll get 8, 10, 12 people on a summit at the same time. And those are all local here in Phoenix. It doesn't count the guys that are, in Tucson and up in, Flagstaff and other areas. But just here in the Phoenix metro area, I would say it's a solid core of about 10, maybe 15 guys. But there's some that are more active than others. I know we're having a meetup here coming up. At last meetup, we had 8 people show up, and that was just kind of this really immediate area. Meetups probably for the state, we're going to be probably running into 30, 40, 50 people now. We've had to expand, when we do a statewide recognition for like somebody who's reached GOAT. It used to be, we'd get 10 people, but the last one we couldn't fit everybody, and we've decided we have to move to some other type of venue, like a picnic or something like that, because we're getting on every gathering like that, we're getting 30 people or so. So
That's absolutely awesome. I mean, I would love to see, excuse me, see that many activators here local around me. I know when I first started, there was a few were active around me, and I was trying to reach out, and it was like early March, and I was trying to reach out to them. I was like, man, if you go out anywhere, I just want to come watch you. I just want to come watch you and see how you do it.
yeah,
And, I had a couple people say, okay, I'll let you know when, but I ended up just forget it.
yeah.
I'll wing it, and I'll get it figured out.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, like the last event we did this 10-point madness event where we have simultaneous people on the summit at the same time, and they all 10-pointers. That was 29 people. Actually, it was 32 people that were participating in that event. And so and we actually had some people coming from out of state though on that, but still there was a bunch who couldn't participate. So that kind of tells you, how active it is.
So when you guys are all up there on one summit, do y'all just get on your 2 meters and just work each other as well?
Yeah, that's pretty much what it's been like. We've done it 4 years now, and we just try to work as many of the local guys 2 meters if we can. Yeah, and I think most of us can get probably, well, we can get probably half or a little more than half of those on 2 meters, and then what we can't get, we get on 40 meters. But it's it's really, really busy. I mean, if you can imagine, because every person is trying to work at least 10 other people at the same time, and we're all trying to work each
Right.
other, and so, but that's the fun of it, right? It's just a good
And,
time.
yeah, it's just like working the pile-ups.
That's
It,
right.
sometimes I will sit here and pull my hair out if I'm not getting through, but it's a lot of fun to do. So a lot of people have never worked any microwave, and I see you guys do that quite a bit, at least on your show and stuff like that. Tell us a little bit about working the microwave on the summits.
Yeah, well, that kind of was that kind of just kind of came the same way. It's kind of started out in Arizona as a unique thing for Arizona guys. Pete, WA7JTM, the section manager for Arizona, and a couple of other guys bought one of those Alenkos that is capable of doing 1296 megahertz, or what is it, 23 centimeters. And they thought it would be novel to see if they can get summit to summit and stuff like that. And it turns out it works pretty good. Um, it's a little more directional than and less forgiving than 2 meters, but it's still a lot of fun. And it turned, and when the 3 or 4 of those guys started doing that, then more and more people wanted to pile on. So now we have, I don't know, upwards of 10 or 15 people who all have the Elenco. I can't remember the model of it, but it's an Elenco that has the 1296 megahertz, and we oftentimes, take that radio up, and we get the little. There's different types of antennas. You can use the stock antenna, but that doesn't work too well. We usually, like, I think it's a 10 element Yagi that I bought off eBay, and other people have homebrew. And funny, I actually had a contact just this last backpacking trip. No, it wasn't a backpacking trip. It was a camping trip out in California with Adam. KA6ARK and I did a summit to summit with it, and they're trying to get that going in California as well now.
Yeah, it looks like a lot of fun. I don't have a radio that'll do it, but it does. It looks like a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun, and it's not much different than if you were doing any of the other FM bands. Really, it's like I said, it's just a little less forgiving. You got to really be directional with it, but other than that, it works about the same.
So, what's the furthest you've got out with, say, first? Let's go with microwave.
Microwave. I'm going to say, I can't remember exactly, but I'm going to say it's over 100 miles with the microwave, maybe upwards of 150 summit to summit, which is pretty good for that band for sure.
Okay, and what about 2 meter?
2 meters, my most memorable and furthest distance was with K6ARK. He was on a summit in California, and I worked him here in Arizona when we were doing the 10-point madness. That was, I believe, last year or the year before. It was 328 miles summit to summit with him.
Wow, that's definitely a nice 2 meter contact.
Yeah, it was a nice one. And we did 2 meter CW, and we did 2 meter sideband, if I remember, or maybe it was 2 meters. Maybe it was 2 meter FM. I'm not sure, but we also threw the CW in there.
Right, which you get a lot further doing the 2 meter sideband than you do at the FM, and of course the CW. And a lot of people don't even know you can do CW on 2 meter.
Yeah.
Explain a little bit about that.
Well, the 2 meter band, if you look at the band plan, you'll see that you can do CW across the whole band. And so, yeah, if you have a radio that's capable, like the FT817 is, you can set it up to, instead of doing voice over 2 meters, you can send CW. Much better. CW and sideband, both of those modes work much better over 2 meters, and you can make contacts much further. Yep.
Yeah, because I've got about 100 miles on 2 meter sideband. Of course, I haven't done CW yet.
Well, and you weren't on a peak either, right? You were flat landing it. So that's pretty significant for being down on the ground. Because everybody just listening probably knows. When you're on a summit, you can really get going far.
Oh yeah, like that. That's the only way I can get 20 meter to work in West Virginia. In West Virginia, anywhere I try to do 20 meter, it's just nothing. But if I go way up top on like a strip mine or something like that, I can get it out.
Yeah.
So it definitely has its advantages. So we covered about what you should do if you're trying to do soda and stuff like that. What's some don'ts if you're getting into soda?
Well, I think on the hiking side, more than anything, you want to really be careful there. If you're not experienced with hiking, then you probably should figure that out a little bit. Route planning. Be careful out there because we don't want accidents. So far, I don't think I'm not aware of anybody, especially here in the United States, that's really had a severe accident to the point where they caused death or something like that on soda. That would have been horrible. But there's been accidents. People have hurt themselves on trips, and so planning, I think. I guess don't fail to plan your excursion thoroughly and account for all safety possibilities that you can. Um, and then I would say don't forget to spot yourself. I know in POTA, a lot of people just like to call CQ and see what happens. You can do that in soda, but it's really challenging if you don't. You should self spot yourself in soda, so don't forget to do that. And let people know where you're at. I think those are kind of the main things. And other than that, you're just going to have to figure it out and see what works for you. The great thing about it is it can be very customized to what your desire for fun is, or your different equipment that you have at the time. Don't get too excited about going out and buying a bunch of gear. Just use what you have, and then gradually kind of grow. Gradually move into what you think would work best for you.
All right. So, what about do you take stuff for like safety concerns, like say you get hurt and you're stranded and stuff like that? I know you said you had somewhat of a prepper background, so I'm curious some of the stuff that you may.
Yeah, well, I don't take a whole lot because, and this is one thing that I would highly recommend. In fact, next weekend I'm retaking a wilderness first aid class, and I'm trying to keep up on that. I think it's probably the most important thing that you can do for soda as far as safety goes. Keep your wilderness first aid skills up to date. What those classes usually do is allow you to use the gear that you're taking with you on a backpacking trip and utilize it for first aid, so you don't have to carry an extra first aid kit. And so I don't. I have a few little items, probably weighs 3-4 ounces of like a needle and a band-aid and just a couple of little minor things. But I don't take a lot out there because I'm trained from the first aid classes in what I can use with the gear that I take with me. I can take a shoelace and a bandana and do stuff with that. So you get what I'm saying? It's
Right. I just looking at a few questions. Joseph wants to know, what do you use for antenna support when you fly, and what do you use for a lightweight throw line?
Okay, so for a lightweight throw line, I think he's talking about what I use to like hoist my antenna up if I'm going over a tree. And there's like a little pouch that has like a weight in it that I use, but I'm afraid I'm going to lose that. So most of the time I just tie a rock to a paracord, throw the paracord up over a tree and hoist it up that way. I think that's what he's asking. If not, correct me. And then I use a fishing pole for a mast. I have several different variations. I like the longer one. You see it sticking out of my pack because it's excuse me, it's sturdy. It's more sturdy and it doesn't bend down as much, especially with that heavy gauge wire that I have for my antenna. So what I'll do is I'll just take that fishing pole out, and I have these gear ties. I don't know if I should step away or not and show you, but I kind of just fasten the fishing pole to a stump or to some brush or to whatever I can, and then put the antenna on it and hoist the fishing pole up. So that's kind of what I do there.
And Jesse makes a good point too, because it does depend on where you're at in the country and stuff when you're doing soda, or like if you're doing POTA and just going hiking and stuff. Because I mean, I do that a lot. I'll just, I will activate for my car if I'm doing like a radar or something and I gotta hurry. But most of the time, I like to get out and sit somewhere. But then sometimes I just like to go just for a little hike and get away from everything.
Yep.
And it does depend on what part of the country, like where he's at. He said bear spray is essential, and a good map and compass and stuff if you don't know where you're at stuff. So that definitely makes a lot of sense. And that's something I always have with me as a compass, because
I take a compass too.
Let's see.
And I also, let's see, I should have mentioned that I take a Garmin 66i, which has the satellite, so I can text, and it has the SOS in it, so that I can, if I really get in trouble, I can get some help that way too. So
yeah, I do have a Garmin, but half the time I do not have that with me, and unfortunately. But now, if I'm here within my local area, I always have my handheld, and our repeater we have a auto patch, so I can even call somebody if I wanted to.
yeah, it's an interesting point you make, because it's so true. My pack it varies from where I'm going. Yeah, a local, summit here in Phoenix, I take very little of the gear I'm mentioning right now. I don't take the Garmin. I don't take the first aid kit usually. I don't take a lot of stuff, because it's just a local hike. I mean, you'll see people almost in high heels hiking some of these hills. You know what I mean? It's like some ladies.
Right.
It's not that dangerous
Yeah,
local.
I've seen some of your videos where you're setting up, and here you've done this big hike, and I expect you to be up there all by yourself, and all of a sudden you just see somebody just walking
Yep.
through just like a normal person. I'm like,
Yep. So, my backpack or my pack really varies. If I'm going really remote, then yeah, my pack looks a lot different than if I'm doing local.
and Joseph wants to know what you look for in paper maps.
I usually, if I'm doing a paper map, I will. I have the. I don't even think I make them much anymore, but I like those. What do they call them now? There's those big ones with the grid squares. The what is it? GSRS.
I know what you're talking about, and you said it, and I lost my train of thought.
Yeah, it's a 4-letter acronym. Anyway, they're pretty much the standard of most people. Like I said, I don't think they make them much anymore. But I have a whole filing cabinet of them. So everywhere I'm going here in Arizona, anyway, I can just go grab one.
Yeah,
ASGS.
Yeah, that's it. I have the whole state of West Virginia basically on my phone, and it's pretty much saved where I don't have to have internet or anything like that. So
yeah, me too. I like to do redundancy, so I'll take the paper map. Then I also have I like a Gaia on my phone, and then I also have the GPS. Almost always I'll put the tracks for the GPS. So I have those three different ways to route find. So redundancy is important.
Have you ever been to like a strange place doing a soda or something and just totally gotten lost?
No, and I can say that because I am very thorough in my planning for my excursions, and which I said up front is one of the main things. You don't forget to do that, and make sure you do that. And so I'm very, very good at making sure I plan, that type of things. So I've never been lost or even close, because I've always kind of known where I'm at just because of the research I've done.
Right, and that's me too. I'm used to being in the woods. I grew up in the woods, and but I had a couple of friends one time, and they went hunting on a game land, and their wives called me at about 11:30. They were supposed to be at work at 11 o'clock that night. Said they ain't never come back from hunting. I need you to go find them. So here I grab all my gear and I go out, and I'm looking till almost daylight. And I see like a little fire way back in this little really thick area, and I go back in there, and sure enough, there they are. And the one guy, his arms wrapped up. I was like, "What did you do?" He's like, "We were trying to find our way out, and we got in this really bad briar thicket, and I was trying to cut my way out, and I just gashed my arm." And he's like, "I cut off a piece of my shirt and tied it around there." And I was like,
"Oh man,
oh my god, dude."
Well, it's easy to do, actually. I'll mention. I think my wife's okay with me mentioning this. About a month ago, there were 4 of us. There's me and 3 others that were doing a soda activation. It was 2 couples, and we were on top, my wife and I, and we had just finished up. The other couple was heading down, and I could tell from her body language that she wanted to go join them. And so I say, you can go ahead and join them. and I'll finish up here and then I'll catch up with you. Well, I caught up with them and she wasn't there, and so we didn't know where she was. And long story short, we ended up finding her and guiding her around us. But the problem was, and the thing that I would remind people is, when you go on an excursion, everybody in your group should know the route and should understand thoroughly what the plan is and what the excursion is all about. And in that case, my wife was just kind of depending on me for all that. And then when she took off, she just went down the wrong way, down the side of the mountain in the wrong direction, and then she was done. She didn't help participate in planning the excursion. She didn't know where she was at. It wasn't her fault, really, other than I should have involved her in the planning process.
Right, and it's really easy. Like if you go to a place where there's all kinds of different trails splitting, all at, at different junctions and stuff. If you're counting on somebody else to get you back, and you get there and you didn't pay attention, you get like, I think it's this one, and next thing you know, you're way off.
Yep, for sure.
So I agree like that. Where is the most exotic summit you've ever worked?
Well, I'm gonna probably say Hawaii. I worked a couple of summits in Hawaii. I did the I can't remember that one either. It's called Red Mountain, but it also has a different name. One of the volcanoes there in Hawaii. On let's see, what island was that on? I think that was going to be on Lanai. But I also did Diamond Point, which is only a two pointer, and that thing was the hard. That was like the most pain in the butt thing to operate ever, because it's very crowded and very busy. A lot of people coming up and down. Not a lot of places to put up. But I'd say Hawaii. It was pretty fun there. Outside of Hawaii, I'd probably say something in California. I've done a few that are pretty interesting there.
So how do they get their point value? I'm curious about this one.
Well, it depends on your section or your region or whatever they call it. It's for the most part, each state has their own banding, it's called. So
right.
there's a rule for prominence. You have to have your summit has to have at least 150 meters of elevation from anything else around it. So like if you had that mountain like in a and the ocean started filling up, there should be water all the way around it for 150 miles, or 150 meters, and then that prominence would make it so that that's eligible for points. And then they just do, most places I think just do kind of like a bell curve. They'll take look at the landscape and all the peaks that are available, and they'll put the highest as 10 and the lowest as 2. The point system is only 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 as far as the points go, and then there is a 1-pointer also. But that's why in Arizona, New Mexico, our highest summit is Humphreys at I think it's 10,600. But then you get into the Canadian Rockies where Jesse is. They're much higher than that, and even in New Zealand is like twice that height. And so from state to state, or really it's from region to region or section to section, it varies, because there's kind of a banding, kind of a bell curve of between the highest and the lowest mountains. So New Zealand, a 2-pointer is probably as high as like a 6-pointer here in Arizona, or not, the other way around. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, I was real curious about that, because there's one here that is a 2-pointer, and then there's one that's a 4-pointer. And honestly, the 4-pointer is not no harder than a 2-pointer for sure.
Right.
And I was like, well, what makes this a 4-pointer? Why
well, this? And the point system, it really has nothing to do with effort at all, zero, because you have the drive ups that are 10-pointers, and you have drive ups that are 2-pointers. I think that the people who created the program figured it was going to be extremely difficult to take every single peak and assign a difficulty value to that. So they just decided, what, we'll just do it all based on elevation and prominence, and so there's 10-pointers that I think are really easy, and there's a couple 2-pointers here in Arizona that I would never do. It just depends.
That I would never do. I like that. So what is the worst one that you've done that after you've done it you just said, I'm not going back next year for this one?
Armour Mountain. That one had never been done. Armor Mountain, and me and Brian went up and did that one. And man, it was very difficult. There was no trail. It was bushwhacking the whole way through thick manzanita. Ran into rattlesnake or two, and boulder hopping up a dry riverbed. And by the time I was done, my shirt had been ripped and was completely covered in all this manzanita leaves and stuff like that. My clothes were ripped to shreds. My shoes had been eaten up with all the rocks and briar and all that, and so I couldn't use them again after that. The soles had been ripped off and stuff like that. It was just, not to mention, when I got back and I got home and took off all my clothes and showered and then decided what next. What next was 4 Advil and call me in 2 days. It was such a hard one. It was so hard. So I still will never go back there.
Yeah. I mean, I've got a POTA that I won't go back to, but it was nothing like that. It was just like impossible to get to as far as driving to get there. Just
it was just kind of like hidden and stuff.
Yeah, it was like you put it in a MapQuest, and it was a wildlife management area. You put it in MapQuest, and it takes you to some guy's driveway, and I'm like, what? So I drive around for a couple hours, looking for this place. I'm like, I gotta get it. It's in the state. I'm doing all the ones in the state. And finally, I see this guy that works on the telephones in the local area there. And I asked him, I said, do you know where this is? He said, I do. He's like, but I don't know why you would want to go there. And I told him what I was going to do. And he's like, well, I understand, but I still don't know why you would want to go there. I said, can you tell me where it's at? And he said, no. He said, I'll have to show you. So he drives me way away from where the map took me. And then he points at this little dirt road just going down the hill. And he said, you're going to drive on that road right there for about 4 miles. He said, and the road will turn into the creek, and you'll drive through the creek for a long way. And he said, you'll eventually get there. He's like, but I'm telling you, there ain't nothing there. And I literally found one of the little wildlife management tags on one of the trees. I stopped right there in the road, hoisted the antenna, got me 10 contacts, and I was out of there.
Well, what makes you more nervous as far as like safety wise, a place like that or a place there in downtown Brooklyn or something?
Are we doing a night shift or are we doing a day shift?
Yeah, a night shift.
Now, I get a little worried on the night shifts because night shifts typically not this week because the bands are, I don't know what's wrong with the bands this week. But typically on a night shift, once I start calling CQ, I mean, they will pile up, and it's kind of hard to pay attention to what's around you, and if you're in a bad neighborhood and stuff like that. And I mean, I always have a firearm with me, but still, somebody can sneak up on you because you're zoning in, trying to pick up that weak call and everything else. And yeah, I would say that I don't mind going way off into the woods by myself. That doesn't bother me or anything. But I would definitely say that on the night shift. Yeah,
I kind of agree with you. And we have the same problem here with the soda. If you're doing CW, well, I do anyway. Joseph there says it's the night shift is creepy. Yeah, it is. It's creepy on the hill too. When I'm doing CW, I put my earbuds in. Actually, even when I'm doing sideband, and when you put your earbuds in, you're on the top of a mountain. You're not aware. I mean, a bear could come through. I mean, whatever. You never know what's going on. It is a little creepy, and sometimes I get a little nervous about that.
Yeah, Joseph says that a night shift in the middle of nowhere is creepy. He said a night shift in a car with a hamstick is less so. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm just used to the woods or whatever. I mean, I can go sit in the dark in the woods. I know right after my brain cancer, I did the thing where it's called Project Still Beating, and I was trying to inspire people that you can beat anything and keep going and stuff. And I would set challenge videos out, and I did like a spooky challenge one October where you had to go on like a 10-mile hike in the dark.
Yeah, wow.
And it didn't bother me at all.
Yeah,
but I don't mind if I'm in a bad neighborhood if I'm being alert. But when I'm doing an activation, and and most time I got the laptop logging it, and it's blaring in my face anyway, so you don't see everything as good. I think it's a little worse to me. But
Yeah, that I guess everybody kind of has their own way, right?
yeah, some people are just scared of the dark period.
Yeah.
So you take them in the woods at dark, and they freak out, and a lot of
Yep.
people's like that. But let's see, any more questions right here? I don't see any. What other kind of portable operations do you like to do, Charlie?
Well, I like to do field day. That one is really fun. I do that every year. I like to do really just any of the contesting events that are out there. We have a VHF contest a couple times a year that uh, I participate in sometimes. Just any chance I have to get out there. Really, you're right though. Soda is the main thing. It's the mainstay. I just love going out there and getting in the hills and doing that. But the other stuff I throw in there every now and again. But I would honestly, it's not near as much as Soda. Little parks on the air and a little of the contesting and BHF, UHF, and field day, winter field day, stuff like that.
Okay, so if somebody was just strictly a ham shack type of person, what would your pitch be to get them to come out and do portable?
Well, I think the thing is your guest again. I can't remember his name. That gets the CW guy. What was his name again?
Bill.
Yeah, Bill. I think hit on it. Bill lives in a apartment where he can't have a big antenna farm, right? So if you're in a shack and or if you don't have a shack, I should say, and you're living in a place like that, that's definitely one way to get on the air. Now, if you do have an antenna farm and or you do have a good antenna and a good ham radio shack, I don't know if I can encourage you to get out. Other than one of the things that I've really enjoyed about Summits on the Air is I've seen more beautiful scenery, had more wonderful adventures than I would ever have imagined had I not been doing Summits on the Air. I encounter new things every time I go out. It's every time I go out and do Summits on the Air, even if it's the same peak, there's something new and interesting. And so that adventure part of it, keeping your life spicy and alive, I think is good. So I think that might be it.
I agree 100%. And I've got antennas here at the house, and I do enjoy to sit here at the house and hunt parks and hunt soda, and when the contests, like I really enjoyed the 13 colonies and stuff like that. But the things that I see when I go out and do parks on the air, I may have never seen if I wasn't going there for that reason. And you see some of the most beautifulest things ever. Now sometimes you see some really crazy things too out there.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and another one is the pileups, right? I mean, how can you not enjoy being on that side of the QSO, right?
That is absolutely true. You can sit here at your house and you can call CQ40 all you want to, but you go out in a park and say CQ Parks on the Air, I promise you'll get a different tune.
Right. And so there's the whole enjoyment of working that pileup, but there's more to it than that. I mean, I think if you want to become a better operator, you should get out there and do portable, because you learn your gear, you learn to think on your feet. You have to basically set up a different setup every time you get out there, and then you're operating basically a DX station. So you're learning how to operate and manage a pileup. Those things you don't usually get in a shack. Sometimes you do, but most of the time you don't.
And if you think you've got the pile up down, then do a night shift.
Yeah.
I'll never forget my first night shift. I'd been doing it for a little over a month, and I was like, I'm ready. And I was in Jekyll Island in Georgia, and I called CQ, and for an hour and 40 minutes until that band died, I never stopped. They just came at me.
Awesome.
And it was amazing. Joseph wants to know if you've ever done any FT8 on a soda.
I have never done FT8, period. I've not pushed the button one time for FT8. So the answer is no.
There you go. And Joseph also wants to know what's your home shack set up like, radios and antenna.
Well, right here, I mean the shack, that's kind of it right there. I have FT897, and then a tuner, and then a couple of power supplies, and then up here I have two FM uh, FM radios. So I have an antenna. I have a Ringo Ranger for 2 meters, and then I also have a arrow on top of a 30-foot pole at the top up here, and then it's just a dipole. Actually, two dipoles, an 80 and a 40, and so that's what I use. It's not the greatest, but hey, sun cycle's coming up, so it's going to be better.
Yeah, everybody keeps saying that. I'm like, any day now.
Right, we were down in the 70s again, weren't we?
I haven't had any problems, and then this week, like
the flux is down to the 70s, I think, again, or the 80s anyway.
I know. Let's see, was it Monday night or Tuesday night? Monday night, I did an activation, did a late shift, and I normally covered East Coast hardcore. I never touched from Pennsylvania all the way down to Georgia, not a single contact. But I totally destroyed Florida, Connecticut, Massachusetts, and then started getting way out west, further than I normally get out west. That's the day I got Joseph out in California, because it's rare. I do get a few from California that'll hunt me and stuff, but it's rare to hear me. And that was on 40 meters. And then last night, 40 meters didn't work at all for me. I got 8 contacts. I said, forget it. I switched over to 80 and absolutely destroyed the world on 80. I was getting Texas on 80 meters, and I was like,
wow, that's awesome. That's great. Yeah, I've noticed it too. I've noticed it too. I do the CW Academy, and I had a CW it's called, on Wednesday mornings. It was not near as good as it usually is. I was chasing POTA today, and there were places that I normally get that I wasn't. It's noticeable.
Yeah, this evening actually, but right before the live stream, I was trying to hunt a little bit of a late shift, and it was just all noise, like people that I always get. So I don't know. Yeah, Joseph said 80 at night can be fantastic. Mm-hmm. Alrighty, what do you got coming up on your channel?
Well, actually, like I said, I think I'm going to try to get out there to the Lost Dutchman State Park and do my first solo Parks on the Air only. I mean, I've done some Parks on the Air in conjunction with SOTA. This will be the first time that I get out there by myself and purposefully do a Parks on the Air without doing SOTA. So I'll probably be throwing that up here pretty quick. I'm in process right now of shooting the video for a CW key. If you guys don't know, I'm doing a series where I'm reviewing a whole bunch of portable CW keys for Morse code, and I'm on my 4th one. That one will be released here pretty soon as well. And then I have in the can, I have a activation that I had done just recently that I haven't even got the raw footage together yet. So I got to figure that out as well. So there's plenty coming up, but we'll see when I get the time to actually put it all there.
Yeah, shooting the videos is easy. It's doing all the editing and getting everything out. That's what I love about live stream. If we mess it up, we mess it up, because there is no fixing it. It doesn't happen.
Yep.
But the other videos, they can take forever. I know for sure about that. All right, well, we will start wrapping it up. Coming up on my channel, my Patreon's actually got the first peek tonight. I got an interview with Mr. Duffy from DX Engineering. I did that today, and it's out on Patreon now, and it'll be out to YouTube, I think, on Monday. And this weekend is Support Your Parks weekend, so of course I'm going to probably go out and do like 10 parks, 10 new to me parks, hopefully. I've got 21 left in the state, and I will get my goal with those 21. My goal was to finish them. I started in March of this year, and I said I was going to finish it by the end of the year.
That's a worthy goal.
And if there's no more questions, guys, we're going to turn it loose. Make sure and Charlie's link is down there in the description if you guys haven't subscribed, but most of you guys probably already have. But it's down there. Go check it out. Make sure and follow us both on social media and stuff like that. And we appreciate you guys. And until next time, thanks for sharing my adventure with me.
See you guys.